Okay. So it doesn't. Okay, so it's pretty good. Why don't we load up the replay, and we're just gonna go through this pretty quickly because I'm pretty sure I know exactly what we should work on.
Yeah, no, I did. No, go ahead.
Okay, no, I was just gonna say go to go to 1 minute, and get to go to ×2 speed, and let me know. Okay.
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 I messed up. I didn't have enough drones. That game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into PV. Like PvZ is one of those very delicate matchups because Protoss can basically attack whenever because of the warp gate, how it works, and how you can like instantly have units anytime. So you have to be very, very careful as to when you make units and stuff like that. So are you at 1 minute?
Almost.
Okay.
Okay, I'm at 1 minute.
Okay, why don't we actually go to ×4 speed since I forged fast expanded. Ready?
Okay.
When I say go, click on pause, okay?
Oh, I already clicked it. I'll go back. Okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so basically the general idea of PvZ is you build drones and you defend and you attack, right? But
yeah.
That's the very, very, very basic. But then the more complex it is, or the more complex things to keep in mind are like, should you let the Protoss, like if the Protoss takes a fast second, should you take a third? If you take a third, how are you going to defend if he attacks you with 2 base all in? What if he takes a third base? How do you not let him take that third base, right? So
yeah.
We're just gonna kind of bounce between cameras here. So you make 4 lings, which is fine. You know, to be honest, I think 2 lings is better than 4 because you scouted me with the overlord, so you know I went Nexus first. So there's no reason to make 4. You can make 2, and it's just one of those small things that you can be a little greedy about. So you make the extra queen. That's good.
You could have still gone.
Pause at 6 minutes.
Okay. You could have still gone to gate Zealot to do some pressure.
But then you scouted my gateway and my forge, so that would mean, and your overlord's there. So technically, theoretically, you're right. But at the same time, if you had just moved this overlord a little bit down to the right, you would have seen if I had 1 gate or 2 gates, right? Even then, like you have 4 Zerglings on the map, right? So 2 at the Zelnagas, and 1 at your main, and 1. Okay, so 3 of these Zerglings are being used, which is perfectly normal, right? But you have this 4th Zergling just sitting at your base. This 4th Zergling could have been at my ramp, poke up, see is he making something out of the forge, stuff like that.
That was in case you sent a probe to scout, because mostly the queens don't. The
Zergling at your main.
Yeah, the queen doesn't kill the entire probe, so he gets up my ramp and sees everything.
Technically, you're right. No, I could see what you're saying, but you technically have 2 queens here too. So 2 queens would kill a probe, I think. Either way, this is very, very this it doesn't matter as much. Kind of what I'm trying to say is 2 gate pressure it's perfectly valid. What you're saying is perfectly valid, but you can avoid all of that if you just have a Zergling poking up my ramp. When you poke up my ramp and run away right away, you take 1 cannon shot, and then you don't die to 1 cannon shot, obviously, right? But with 1 cannon shot, you'll see exactly what you need to see, which is, what is he chronoing? Is he chronoing anything at all? Is he making anything on the forge? If he's going for fast +1 attack on forge, maybe he's going to go for a zealot timing, so you have to drop a rotor and stuff like that, right? But the biggest thing I wanted to stop at 6 minutes is, look at your vision right now, right? You have an overlord, you see I just took my 3rd gas, right?
Yeah.
And you see I have decent probe saturation. This means nothing. Like I couldn't discern, even I couldn't figure out anything from what this means. Just looking at this, there's no way I could be like, oh, he's dropping Stargate, or oh, he's going DTs, or whatever, right? I have no idea. There's no way I could tell. Do you think you could tell?
Not necessarily, but I knew I was like safe to drone for like 1 or 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, okay.
At least.
I guess that's a really big thing to know too. So you have 1 overlord here, and then what I wanted to keep in mind is you needed to have at least 1 more overlord around my main somewhere, off to the right, past my main. It doesn't matter, but you have a bunch of overlords floating around here, right? Like I don't have any stalkers on the map. I don't have phoenixes, obviously, because it's way too early. So like you could have 1 or 2 more overlords at my main just floating around, and then you could scout whenever. It's 6 minutes. You see I take a 3rd gas. I have a lot of probes, and I mean, I could hit you with anything at this point, right? You have no idea what's gonna come at you. The second thing I want to note is you go up to 250 gas, and
oh yeah, that was a big mistake by me.
Yeah.
I didn't even.
The thing is, like, I don't know. I'm sure you've seen, if you watch streams, a lot of the Zergs tend to go Mutaling now, right, against Protoss, Mutalisks and Zerglings.
Yeah.
And there's basic builds that use 200 gas, which is you get +1 attack, melee attack for your Zerglings or carapace, so it doesn't matter, and Zergling speed, right? So I mean, there's a scenario where you could use that. Technically, you could use this, but you have all this gas just kind of saved up for no reason, which, you know, it's one of those small things that end up making a big difference. Anyways, when I say go, pause, okay?
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so, like, looking through your vision still, you see all I have is... you see only this. And then my stalker comes out before you can scout anything. So you still have no idea what's on this map. You have another overlord kind of floating off, and it just sits here at the rocks, which doesn't really serve you a lot of good either. You know, you make a couple of rounds of Zerglings, and then my Void Ray hits. My Void Ray hits, you don't have an Evo chamber, do you? No, you don't have an Evo chamber.
No, I don't.
So imagine, what if I had gone DTs? DTs would hit roughly around the same time as well.
I had lair.
Ah, that's true, but then you still would have taken unnecessary damage, don't you think? Like,
yeah, that's true.
The Evo chamber is a very basic thing that you need to always build. It's one of those things people forget about the most, but it's one of the most important things. Because if I hit you with any sort of timing, you know, +1 zealots will two-shot Zerglings, but if you have like armor on them or whatever reason, but if you have whatever upgrade, like carapace or whatever, it will help immensely. But Evo Chambers, mostly the biggest thing is for Spore Crawlers, because you need Spore Crawlers, especially if I went 2 Stargates. If I went 2 Stargate Mass Phoenix, like 2 Void Raid Mass Phoenix, you probably would have lost all your queens, right?
I had 4 by the time you attacked.
Oh, okay, well...
And I was getting
14
more.
minutes, pause.
Okay.
Okay, so you scouted something very important. I took my 3rd, right?
Exactly, and I saw the Colossi. You went Colossi.
Yeah, and here's kind of where it's really important. Look at the drones. Look how many drones and probes at this point in the game.
Yeah.
Very big disparity, right? And you know, this is perfectly normal. Like, I make this mistake all the time. You have to watch when you drone and when you make units. For example, you scouted that you saw that I made 1 Void Ray and 3, 4 Phoenixes, right? But they stopped coming out, right? I didn't have more Phoenixes. I didn't play more aggressively. I just sniped the queen and I left. That should have been your cue to make drones immediately. So why don't we replay this game all the way back to 2 minutes? Tell me when you're ready.
No, I'm ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. So I just open up the production tab for now. And so, you know, 14 pull, like I said, right? That's perfectly normal. And then 17 supply rolls around, you drop a hatchery. This seems like a pretty simple build, right? Like, you could do this.
It is.
And you make the overlord, queen, take the gas, and you know, these 4 Zerglings, it's fine, whatever. So you see that I've made a nexus, and you're like, we're just gonna look at this overlord right here, right? We're gonna look at this. The only idea that you know that you have of am I attacking you or not? I chrono the nexus once, right? I have no energy on this nexus, right? It's all of a sudden the energy's gone. Energy is the biggest thing, because even if you don't see me chronoing my nexus, the energy went somewhere, right? But you see how often I'm chronoing this nexus. It's more than once, right? And then you see that the cyber core is making, but I didn't chrono this, so pause at 7:30.
7:30?
7:30, yes.
Okay.
So I have 44 probes and you have 39 drones, right? You made, just now you made, what is this? You made 10 lings, right? This looks like...
Yes.
Or, yeah, 10 lings. You made 10 lings for absolutely no reason. I wasn't chronoing this. I only had one stalker. If I was gonna hit a gateway timing, I should have had sentries. Why sentries? Because sentries need to build up that energy, right? If I warp in 6 sentries when I'm attacking you, I have 6 force fields. But if I warp in 6 sentries in like 2 minutes before I hit you, then I have like 18 force fields. I'm not gonna do the math. You get the point, right? Force fields are something that you need to have in the very beginning of the game for them to be useful in the mid to late. If it's almost useless to warp them in directly into the battle unless you're, force fielding ramps or whatever. So for you to see that I only have a stalker out should immediately ring a bell in your head saying, why doesn't he have any sentries, right? If I don't have any sentries, standard ZVP, if I have no sentries, then it only means one thing, tech, right? I mean, this is all very, very heavy assumptions, but then but the general idea is, if I'm wasting chronos on my Nexus and one other thing, because you can see the chronos on my Nexus, right? What other thing could it be? It could be my warp gate, but then shouldn't my warp gate be done around this time, around 7:30? Because I immediately went gateway cybercore. I didn't go gateway. I didn't go like gateway forge cannon rush. I didn't do anything quirky. I did very standard opener, right? And this kind of all comes back to having that overlord in the proper place, because then you would have, if let's just say you had an overlord at the far right, there's no way I could stop you from scouting a Stargate and 4 gateways dropping down, right? 5 gateways, whatever. And then you would have known immediately, okay, 2 spore crawlers at each base, drone up. Get a fast lair, Hydra, take a 3rd spire, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? I can't stop you. But since you're playing pretty much in the dark, you're forced to make these random amount of wings. You're forced to make a lot of. You're forced to do a lot of unnecessary things.
Yeah. No, those are just for zealots, just in case. I'm almost all my matches. You can see I made them just as I started my 3rd, just so he doesn't just send 3 random zealots to deny it, so I can stop him somehow.
Did you take a 3rd? I didn't.
I'm just starting at 7:30.
Oh wait. Okay, I see the drone now.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I'm making the links.
Then this is a very important thing, because this didn't occur in the game, but if you're gonna go for something like a fast 3rd, you need a Roach Warren. No matter what. Because if I go +1 attack zealots with like 6 zealots, no matter how many lings you make, you'll lose. It's like in terms of cost efficiency. Like there's and we'll talk about that in a minute. 1 second.
No, but I don't. I don't sacrifice them. I just don't let you attack my hatchery. If I see you attack my hatchery, I just attack your zealots. If you attack my zerlings, I just run away.
I see. Okay, I understand. Okay, that makes perfect sense. But so, anyways, ignoring that, kind of important to note as well. You should consider fixing your rallies more often with your hatcheries. If you notice, you have 3. I cannot count today. You have 13 drones at your natural, right? And you have like 22 at your main in terms of on mineral patches, right? 16,
yeah,
16.
It's oversaturated.
Yeah, 16 to 16 is your best number. And like you took this gas, like you have 300 gas, and you're not doing anything with it, right? You could have dropped an Evo chamber, started +1 attack, +1 carapace, whatever. You could have done whatever with this gas, but you also take another gas at your natural, or not your natural, your main. So this is all kind of very strange, and to kind of quote a lot of like casters like Artosis, Day9, and everyone, they always say the same thing. If you're gonna go for an economic build, there's no way you could go for a tech-heavy build, which goes same in reverse. If you're gonna go for a tech-heavy build, you can't go economic, right? So you can't get gas and get a lair before you take a 3rd and then take a 3rd, because those 300 minerals that you just put in could have been like Zerglings, could have been roaches, it could have been a lot of things which you're now vulnerable to, right? So it just makes it very, very uncomfortable to defend all 3 bases. So, instead of these 300 minerals that are about to go into a 3rd, with all this gas, you start a lair, and then you'd still have technically around 600 minerals. Put that all into drones, right? And then you would have had a very, very stable and strong 2-base economy. but since you're taking this third while you're taking gas and you're going to start a lair, all of a sudden you have a really, really weak